My name is Marcus, and I was in the business of killing everybody who walked in my door years ago. I was literally killing all of my clients, and I was killing myself. At 28 years old, I was on 5 medications. The last straw was cholesterol medication. My doctor told me at 28 years old that I need cholesterol medications, and I was a little upset because I was like, why is all this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And I kept saying, my father has heart disease. My grandfather had a heart attack at 57. My father, who had just turned 57, had a heart attack. And I'm like, this is obviously in my genetics. This is obviously part of what's the writing on the wall. And for some reason, somebody gave me a Bernard Jensen book, Be Well, Be Wise. I started reading it, and I was like, that's not the writing that has to be on the wall. I was on medication for, I was on prescription deodorant. I would sweat like yellow. I couldn't wear a white shirt because I was just sweat yellow. I was so toxic. I was eating the food that I was cooking for my guests. As a young chef, I prided myself in working at really nice places. So I'd always go try to work at a 5-star property, a 5-star restaurant, a 5-star hotel, building my resume. As I kept building my resume, I kept declining my health. And I would just make a joke, like every new job I would get, I'd always say, well, I'm a new pant size. So I went from 30, 32, 34, 36, and finally 40-inch waist. Wow. And I was like, it was very depressing. But again, all that whole time I'm thinking, well, gee, it's in my genetics, right? This is what my life is supposed to be like. And this is the food that we're supposed to be cooking, and this is how I have a successful career, by making everybody come into the restaurant and smile and say, this food is great, as they go home to pop their Pepsid, and as they wake up in the morning to take whatever other medications they needed. And this was the whole mentality that I was in, and this was how I was taught and trained. And I thought I was a very successful chef until I needed cholesterol medication. I said, enough is enough. And I was in Colorado. I was at a restaurant in Colorado, and our produce distributor sold mostly organic produce. His name was Chris, and he was 50 years old. And I found out that he would run for fun every year up Pikes Peak. And I said, this is impossible. How can a human run up Pikes Peak? It's 14,000 feet. We're down at 6,000 feet, at 5,500 feet. I said, this is insane. And I said, Chris, first how and why? And he goes, well, I eat right. And I said, what do you mean eat right? I eat right too. I eat a lot of all this food that I cook. I eat, And he was like, no, Marcus, I eat right. I eat what I'm supposed to be eating. I eat tons of plant food, tons of fruits and vegetables. He goes, I own a produce company for a reason. I specialize in organic food for a reason. And things started clicking. Be Well, Be Wise book was in my hand. Chris was like, oh wow, this is like now changing my thought process. And I'm thinking, well, if he can run up Pikes Peak, could I ever run up Pikes Peak? Could I do something like that? I was never a athlete as a kid. George, who my friend here, my lifelong friend, went to school with me, and George knows I was never an athlete in school. I never did anything. I was more concerned about going and working and making money. So I went to my doctor, and he goes, Marcus, you need cholesterol medication. I said, I'm not taking it. I said, I refuse to. And he goes, you need to. And he really was so firm with me, and I said, no, I'm not. And I didn't know much then. I did not know a fraction of what I know now, but I knew to be strong with my doctor. And I said, no, I'm not doing it. He goes, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 30 days. Because he asked me, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm reading this book. And he wasn't really interested, right? He was like, yeah, whatever. And he goes, I'll give you 30 days. Okay, if you don't improve in 30 days, he goes, you have to go on cholesterol medication. So 30 days later, I went back. I also picked up in the meantime a copy of Gary Knoll's book, Get Healthy Now. He was on PBS. I saw it on PBS, and everything made so much sense. There's no silver bullet, right? There's no one thing. You can't keep eating your McDonald's and taking Shaga. It doesn't work. But he talked about everything, right? He talked about eating right, about thinking right, about moving and exercising, and detoxifying. And I said, for once, here's a person that makes sense. And he's not really selling a product, which is why he was making sense, right? Because you all see all those infomercials. Take this product, a 30-day supply of this, 30-day supply of this. All that stuff was just gimmicks. So I figured, and I had tried the cabbage soup diet, I'd done the Atkins diet, I'd done all these diets because I was frustrated, and I knew, and I kept going to my doctor saying, I want to lose weight. You know what his answer was? You're fine. You're fine, Marcus. You're average. Your body, you're average. I'm 6 feet tall. I was pushing 240 pounds. He goes, Marcus, you're fine. You're average. You're average. 30 days later, I went back. My cholesterol went from 227 to 155. Wow. In 30 days. And he looked at me. He goes, I don't know what you did. Nor did he want to know what I did. He goes, I don't know what you did, but the medications wouldn't have worked. Anything would never have worked as good as what you did. As good as what you did. He never asked me. Never asked me what I did. Didn't care what I did. All of a sudden, my other medications started trickling away. I was asthmatic my whole life. I couldn't run a quarter of a mile to save my life, especially at 240 pounds. Could not run at all. Not one lap around the track. And I was one of those people that thought, well, I'm just not meant to run. And how many of us say, well, I'm not meant to run? That so-and-so's a runner, right? But not me. My body's not designed to run. Like, what's different in our bodies, right? We all have 2 legs. We all have an Achilles. We all have the same features. We're just not conditioned to run. Our mind's not conditioned to run. So I looked really hard at what I was serving my guests because I was a partner in a restaurant. And I had a major conflict. Major conflict. Do I walk in the door every day and still serve the food that was killing me to you? And me not eat that food because I know that food was killing me? And that was just a major conflict that I was going through. And I came home with tofu one day. My wife flipped out. She was like, what is this? I was like, this is what I eat now. I eat lots of vegetables. I eat quinoa. I eat tofu. I eat beans. I eat all this kind of stuff. She looked at me. She goes, you're ruining your career. And I said, but I'm saving my life. And that's more important. And at that point, to go to work and to keep killing you people wasn't an answer for me anymore. I said, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I refuse to do this. So I started incorporating these foods in slowly into my culinary repertoire. I put tofu on the menu. Back in 1998, tofu on a menu in a farm-to-table restaurant. We were buying from 57 small farms at the time in Colorado. And I was putting on vegetarian dishes. I was serving grass-fed meat, serving wild salmon. I was really taking a strong stance on food that was being very manipulated. And it was my goal to buy better food. And of course, Colorado is filled with farms. So I immediately started taking farm tours. And went to the San Luis Valley. Colorado is the number 2 to 3 state, depending upon what year it is, on potato production. They produce a lot of potatoes. So I went to the San Luis Valley, took a farm tour, and met a farmer who wouldn't eat his own potatoes. And I said, why? And he goes, because we spray this chemical on it that causes neurological damage. He goes, we have to mark our fields off by law. He goes, if we lose irrigation in the field, I won't go in the field. I'd rather lose my crop than step foot in my field.